I'm sure many of you are not familiar with what Simbe is, but at Simbe, we have an autonomous retail solution that has an autonomous robot that goes through the store multiple times a day to really help close the data desert that is the retail storefront right now. Continuing to change is how we actually use the data that is a key component of e-commerce. Do you want to talk about Kroger sales?
Yeah, so Kroger has reached $13 billion in Q4 for digital sales, and that was Q4 2024 alone, which is up 11% year over year, representing nearly 10% of the total sales. So it's a dramatic increase. We know that it's increasing, and we know that we have to continue to put innovation in that space to continue to make it grow.
Yeah, and the winners in today's retail space aren't choosing between, is this a physical or is this a digital situation? They're building the seamless connection between the two, like we have heard from every speaker before me today. And then, of course, on top of all of this, we have the external pressures that we're all facing in our day-to-day lives of pricing volatility and inflation. It is really that seamless experience for the consumer to be able to go through. The consumer is not buying online because they wake up in the morning and think, I would like to purchase something online today. They are going online to purchase something because that is what is most convenient for them in this moment. They walk into the store and they pick up something for the same reason. So the true experience of omnichannel is not where it's physical or digital, it's how unified can your data ecosystem be and how unified can your systems be.
Yeah, I don't think about buying anything any day. I get a message from my husband with a link of what I need to buy. And that's it.
Same.
He literally shares the link. Here's what you need to buy, go buy it, so yeah.
Yeah, so when we think about how all of the information comes together, all of the product images, all of the data, that catalog information is it's a treasure trove of information, but it's not just for what you see when you go to Kroger.com and you look up a box of Oreos. It fuels a lot more than that. It is used for the associates in store to be able to help find the products. It's used for a DoorDash driver, a Instacart shopper to find the products. And it's also used for partners like Simbe to help identify the products and know the pricing and all of that.
Yeah, it's so important because the aspect of it's one thing to show the customer what they need to see, but then there's a whole nother piece of this that touches all the associates and allowing them to really have more of a focus on doing other things than having to go search for that box of Oreos, right? Because they can't find the right one. So yeah, it's enablements. So, what we're talking about here really is the autonomous scanning, data collection, and then actionable insights of what this can be.
Yeah. So Simbe provides real-time visibility into what's going into the store in three main areas. The first one is pricing accuracy. Is the price that is reflected on the shelf the same as what's in the pricing file and the same as what the consumer is expecting to find on the shelf? Simbe's robot is able to go through the store and digest this data real time on the shelf with a 97% accuracy to identify, is this promo correct? Is this price correct? And allow for there to not be pricing issues in the store. The next is item not found rates. This is when you are going through the store and you cannot find something. Obviously, this has a major impact with click and collect, any kind of online ordering. But we're able to tell, hey, this item hasn't been in the store in a while because we can look at the planogram and see maybe there's a real life implication with the planogram where there's now a pole that's in front of the products that the shopper was trying to find, and that's why they're not being purchased. So we're able to make some kind of adjustment. And the third is just inventory accuracy with how much you're able to find, what we're able to forecast, and how much product's actually sitting in the stores.
My team has to be part of the controls of kind of all the background, making sure a lot of this is happening. But it's so important because our pickup program, accuracy is a multi-billion-dollar priority. And it is something that represents that 10% of the sales. And having accurate data, like we were saying a minute ago, about having it on the shelf accurately for that picker to go pick the item and get it successfully into the basket is a huge piece of that, along with also making sure that the customer can see it on the app correctly and also see it on the shelf correctly. That bridging that gap of information is so important for just making sure that we have all the pieces of the puzzle together for the customer.
So to get into a bit more detail about a really big one, which is the item not found rate. The average item not found rate for a retailer is about 9%. This leaves hundreds of millions of dollars on the table if every time a customer is ordering something, it's just simply not found in the store. We've seen the highest item not found rates at a retailer being over 14%. Obviously, this is a massive number, and it's leaving a lot of money on the table. But what we've seen using Simbe data is through having real-time visibility into what is in the store and the precise location that we're able to guide a shopper to, an associate to. We are able to reduce the rates of item not found to under 4% in some of our real-life case studies that are happening now in retail stores.
And as a customer, like, I get so frustrated when I'll do something and it's not delivered or it's not in the order, and I'm like, now I have to go in, or now I have to go to the store if it doesn't come through delivery, right? And then I have to go make that extra trip, and it's exactly the opposite of making it easier for the customer. So it's so important to make sure that if we don't have it, make sure you're saying that ahead of time. Like, make sure you're letting them know before they go order it, thinking they're going to get that. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And beyond just the monetary impact of it, it's the customer experience, and it's that trust level that they have with the retailer. Maybe they're not going to place that item order from that retailer again for the exact same reason. If I'm cooking a cake at home and the flour doesn't arrive, I have a real problem.
Yeah.
And I have to drive to the store myself. But also what we're able to do to really combat this problem is provide the visual cue to the shopper so that they're able to know what the product is they're looking for. And that's why having really clean catalog data, as well as just visual cues from a snip from the aisle in the store, are really important. So you know that you're looking for that red box of crackers, not, a yellow box.
All right, so talking about, digital platforms can update prices instantaneously, right? But knowing if those changes were executed in store has traditionally been challenging, as I said a little while ago in the previous. Us getting called out on that is something that it's not the customer experience we want. So it's how do we build that bridge to figure out some sort of automation, making that area be a little bit more efficient, and thinking about how, when things like this happen, you have to go send people to go look, and how can we bridge that gap of figuring out how to make it a little bit more efficient for them. So shelf scanning technology can identify that price discrepancy between digital and physical channels, which helps the retailers like Kroger quickly correct the inconsistencies. So if it's seeing something, it's allowing us to either get a store associate to fix it, or us on the, in the corporate office to figure out how to fix that. And then price accuracy is not just about compliance. It's about the customer's trust. So I said trust before. I continue. It's like my biggest line in the sand is like, you have to have trust between people throughout all your interactions. So it's a big piece of it.
Absolutely. So where is all of this heading now?
Yeah. So, retail media optimization retail media has been a significant business driver for many retailers, including Kroger. But its effectiveness depends on inventory accuracy. And inventory is one thing I know Kroger is really passionate about. It has been, but even more so this year, it has been at the forefront of every conversation, making sure that we have inventory where it's needed in the stores, whatever, to make sure it's available for the customer. And if you show ads for products that aren't actually available on the shelf, conversion rates suffer, the return on advertising diminishes. So it's this, trickle effect of the impacts, because it's not just revenue you're losing, but it's also that customer experience, and again, that customer trust within you and the information that you're kind of getting in front of them. So the more accurate you are on shelf data, the more effective your retail media network becomes as well. So it all ties back to that data accuracy, making sure we have clean, clear data. The whole garbage in, garbage out, like we said earlier, we don't like to say it, but it's very true, making sure that is all, stable.
Yeah. And like we've talked about with item not found rates, knowing if you actually have the product in the store, what we're able to do today is dramatically improve picking performance within retailers. So as a specific example, at BJ's club stores, we were able to increase by 50% the amount of orders that pickers were able to fill very accurately and with a reduction in labor cost, because we were able to send those pickers precise location data for that club that they were working in. We all know that when you're in a retail store, they're not all the same, despite the best of intentions. Every store is slightly different. And so being able to pinpoint with sub-meter accuracy of, hey, this is where this product is located and this is where you can find it, that picker can pick something up much more quickly, much more accurately for the consumer. All right. So when we think about, hey, what does this mean for, me as a retailer, me as a brand on a weekly basis? What are the things that really should be going on? The first one is audit your item not found rates. There is a treasure trove of information in there. Like I mentioned before as an example, is that item that has never been found in your store, was it just not in the planogram? Simbe's data does do planogram compliance. So we can tell, hey, this specific SKU was planogrammed and it got cut out 3 months ago when it was on allocation and is out of stock. So audit that. There's ways that you can figure out, how do we cut this back in? Where do we need to add it? The next, going back to this, planogram compliance. Are our planograms reflected in every single store the way that they're supposed to be? Brands are, it's really important to the brands to have all of their products reflected on the shelf with the correct amount of space that they're allocated. Every store with some retailers can have a completely different planogram, and Simbe is able to audit that at a store-by-store level with our robots in store.
Yeah, and then creating that cross-functional, the teams, making sure that we have all of that aligned as well. So it's, really thinking about how from start to finish, you're able to give that customer what they need, right? I keep saying the same thing probably, but it's finding ways to make it more automated and less manual. Not only speeds up the process, but saves money as well, right? And I think that, a lot of what Simbe is doing is helping to guide and figure out how we can make that, how we can innovate in that space to move faster.
Yeah. And when we think about what does it mean to have a truly cross-functional team, that doesn't necessarily need to just be at the retailer. That can be cross-functional with the brand partners as well. Identifying, hey, your items are going out of stock much more quickly on Monday and Tuesdays in these 30 store locations can have dramatic impacts on how, a DSD team is servicing the store, how items for a warehouse brand are forecasted and sent into the stores. And It can implicate how a store associate is actually thinking about the first tasks that they need to do when they come into the store. What are the first items that need to be filled? And so, we as Simbe with partners like Kroger are really working to develop what's the best way to go forward. There is so much data in the store that is really just being uncovered for the first time. Used to be we knew when product was going into the store and we knew when it was leaving. But there is a whole world of data that is happening now in the stores that we can see for what the product's doing while it's there.